Hey, what's up, guys? This is Hardcore Shot coming at you with another video. The Midwinter update just launched for Gwent, the Witcher card game, and they added a lot of cards, about 100 more cards, and some really good, interesting new monster cards, and a lot of changes. So in this video, I'm gonna go over for the changes I had to make to my consume deck, and to show you that it's even more powerful than it was before. So we're gonna jump right into it. And so the first things first, we're still using the Unseen Elder as our leader card. They changed him a little bit. Instead of consuming three three units, he now drains a unit by half. So it's a little different, but the drain the unit by half I found is very, very good for a third round. If you have one or two cards left and you're going into the third round, whatever they play, you get to play your leader, drain it by half. So you take half its power, add it to yours, and you're going to win that third round. It's a really good end game card. I'd say it's one of the best leaders in the game right now, if not the best. If you don't have Unseen Ogre, they do have the tutorial, which I mentioned in my previous video. You can go through, take about 15 minutes to unlock him, get him for free, you don't have to craft him. If you don't like him, they do have another option, which is the Behemoth, which they just released. I'll go over her in a little bit. It's basically how he was last time. He consumes 3 monsters and boost himself. But the big issue with that is it's a nerf, because instead of strengthening yourself so you get that base strength of whatever you consume, it's still a boost, so you can't bring it into the next round. So you'll see, if you watch my previous video, you'll know that we took a couple cards out of that deck to make room for the good ones in here. We're still walking Trish. Trish is a very, very good card. 15 easy. There's not a lot of damage in this deck. You have the Kraken and Trish and the Unseen Ogre. Besides that, you're not doing any damage across the board. So I like to have her in here in case they have a card that I want to disrupt. Very, very good. Kraken, still using it. Still hasn't changed at all. Really a little bit. So basically, instead of the 6 unit or less and boost yourself by its power, it used to be if that wasn't an option, you just boost yourself by 8. I never use that anyways. The only time you want to use this card is when you're going to be consuming another monster on their side of the field. So again, it's one of those disruptor cards where you get to consume and you take over one of their monsters. So it's pretty good. Definitely keep it in the deck. Succubus, I would say, is the best gold card in the game right now, easily. It's easily disruptible. If they manage to disrupt it, it can kind of hurt you. But if they don't have anything to lock it or to do that power, got 4 power, then you're gonna be screwed. But after those 2 turns, charm the highest enemy on the opposite row. It's a big flop. So they play something out like a Geralt or something like that, or they've been boosting a card all game long, which a lot of the new decks is all about boosting. You play this down there towards the end of the round. You wait your 2 turns, and it's a huge swing. So say they have a 15 power card over there. Not only do they minus 15, but you plus 15. It's a 30-point swing. Every monster deck should have this card in it, even if it's not a consumed deck. This is one of the newer cards here. So Shiri Nova, I just picked it up and I replaced Geralt in my deck with this card. It made me change my deck a little bit, but it still works, and it's a really powerful card. 25 power. Bam, if you draw this as your last card or somewhere in the middle of the deck, you want to keep it towards the end. It's a really good trump card to play out. If they've already burned their Scorch or their Iggy, you know you have this card. Throw it out there, 25 power. Hard to beat that when it's a 1 card draw. So they draw a card, you draw a card. Whoever has the strongest card wins. This is going to win every time. Alright, moving on along. The Crones, they haven't changed. They're identical. Instead of they simplified it. Instead of being Crone, Brewish, and Crone, Wishfish, it's just their names right now. They do the same exact thing. So you play 1, it pulls the other 2 out of your deck. So 1 card is 20 power. It's a very good silver card. Again, I recommend anyone with a monster deck having these in their deck for sure. Toad Prince, a new card that I started using recently. It helps with a couple things. So you have, 2 Ram Warriors in your hand, you don't really need them right now, or you got 2 Harpies, you're not going to use them. That Toad Prince is going to allow you to draw an extra card and eat one of the cards in your hand. With that, when you draw that card, if it's a card you want to consume, then you can use that one as well. So it's free power. So you say you use this card, you draw a Fiend down here with 11, you're going to make that card a 17, and it costs you 1 card. So again, I like this card a lot. Keep it in your deck. Morant, this is the best silver card, I think, for the monsters consume. So you want to play this it's a third round card for sure. But if you need to play it in the second round, you can if you had a big first round. But with this deck, you're going to be constantly consuming monsters, throwing them in your graveyard. You're going to have anywhere between 10 to 20 cards in your graveyard, and he's going to consume them, boost self by 1 for each. It's a really good tactic to have as a late round card. So if you draw him or you draw Shiri in your last hand, you're going to win that last round for sure. Monster next. I like keeping it in here. It's a good silver card. They added a couple more monsters to it, so you're going to spawn even more than you were before. But I generally use it for the behemoth, because if I don't have a spider in my hand, I really want to use them. You get it, you boost it by 3, it's now 11, and they changed the behemoth. We'll talk about that in a little bit when I get to it. Still somewhat similar, but they boosted it a little bit, and they changed a lot of it. If you'll notice, a lot of the base powers of these cards have been boosted. They really buffed Monster Consume in this pack for sure. So starting right off, Fiend, again, it's not a card that is specific to Monster Consume. I just like having it, that big, powerful 11 card. If you consume it, and you throw it in your graveyard, and you draw a ghoul, or you have a ghoul in your hand, now your ghoul is 15. You know, it's a good card to keep in your deck. Also, the changes with it, it used to be an 8, and then if you had another relic in your hand, it would boost it to 11. Now it's just flat 11, which is fine. It makes it better for you. Behemoth. So, as I said, they changed it a little bit. Whenever you consume, it still spawns the spider, and it still pulls the spider out of your deck, which is fine. But now it has the repeat up to 3 times. So instead of hurting itself and spawning a spider, now you only get to do 4 spiders, which is fine. That's generally what it worked out to be before. So it's actually a big buff, because instead of every time, you know, you gain a 3 spider but you lose 1 health, now you're just gaining that 3 power. So it's a net gain of 3 power. Also, they gave it 2 more power and took away its armor, which is not a big deal. It's still a good card. Forktail. This is probably the bread and butter bronze card of this deck. It's a brand new card. It's absolutely amazing. I'm loving this card. So with it, it's 8 power already, so it's already a powerful card. And then you're going to do consume 2 allies instead of just the normal 1. So it works in conjunction with your Harpy. So you have a Harpy in your hand and you have a Forktail. Bam, you play the Harpy out, it's going to spawn those 2 eggs that we all know that if you consume them, boost by 4. So each egg you eat is going to be a +5. Now you bring the Forktail out, you're going to eat both eggs at once. So that's going to be a +10 right off the bat. Most of the time with the Harpy, you'd have to put a Ram Warrior out there, and you would get 1 egg immediately, but had to wait 2 turns to get the other egg, and it's vulnerable at that point. But no, with the Forktail, now you get to eat it instantaneously, get that power right away. So best new monster card for sure for bronze right there. A Harpy, we already went over them. Spawn 2 eggs. Need this in the deck for any consumed deck. Ram Warrior, another great card. I could say if you wanted to make your deck a little bit smaller, because it is pretty big with 30 cards. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But if you did want to make your deck a little bit smaller, you could take these guys out. They're not needed, but I still enjoy using them. Especially you have a behemoth out, you can just keep consuming cards, keep bringing those spiders out. This is another new card. It's not really a new card though, because all they did was take the Ikamara and make a new card out of it. So now instead of the Ikamara consuming an ally and boost self and become resilient, Ikamara now does a drain a unit by 3. Which is good if you wanted to make a drain deck, but that's not what we're about here. We're all about consume. So, same card we had before. You get to eat a card and bring it into the next round. Really important here. You can't eat like your biggest unit and expect you to bring all that power back in. When it is resilient and it's boosted, it goes back to base power. So it's 6 power you're bringing in the next round. Can be the difference between winning and losing. The Neckers here are very important to the deck. So they actually boosted the Neckers. So they boosted and nerfed them. It's a little bit different how it works now. And it's about the Death Wish. So instead of being 3 power, it's now 4 power, which is nice because they can't just instantly kill it with a 3 attack card. A lot of those very common 3 attack power cards. So 4, it's going to stay alive if you're playing it without it being boosted. Whenever you consume a card, boost this unit by 1, wherever it is. So if it's in your deck, in your hand, or on the field, you're boosting this card. And if you notice, every card we have is consuming. So this thing's going to get powerful. You draw one of these cards later on, or have one in your hand or on the field, it's going to be a 14 to 15 power, you know, towards the end, towards second round, third round. So really good card. One thing I will note on here is the Death Wish is different. So your Death Wish on this card, I don't know if this is true for all the Death Wishes now, or maybe it's a glitch and they haven't fixed it yet, but when this card died, last patch 2 days ago, when it died, it would spawn another copy. That meant if you consumed it, if someone else killed it, or at the end of the round, if your card went into your graveyard, it would pull another one out. It no longer does that. So now you have to consume it, or someone has to kill it. If it's at the end of the round, and it goes into your graveyard at the end of the round, it will not spawn another one. Which brings us to our next card, and one of the reasons that I changed my deck around. We're going to skip those real quick. These bad boys right here. They consume the card, but they don't boost. So you're not going to be boosting these cards, but it helps you pull out another copy of your deck. So say you played a Necker and you won the round and it's in your graveyard now and you don't want to be digging through your deck to try to grab another one. You play one of these bad boys, consume your Necker in your graveyard, a Necker spawns on the field. Really good. Or you need another Fork Tail and it hasn't drawn for you, but you really need one and you have one in your graveyard. You can use one of these guys right here and guarantee getting a Fork Tail. That's what I like. These are guaranteed cards. You're going to use what you want. So far, I've used them on Neckers to be very effectively, the Fork Tails to be very effectively, and also the Behemoths to get those more spiders out if you haven't got another Behemoth in your hand. We skipped over 2 cards. Ghoul, another Red Brother card. Like I said, we have those Fiends in our deck, which is going to have 11 power. You end up consuming that, putting it in the graveyard. Now you have the Ghoul, eat it, 15 power. Pretty straightforward there. Last card here is going to be... Oh, accidentally just took it off there. I'll go put it back in there. But I'll talk about it as I'm going to pick it up. You see it on the right there. It's just a drone. Just a spider drone. As you consume a card and you have the Behemoth out, it's going to spawn a brand new one, the Hatchling. But when the Hatchling comes out, it'll also pull these 2 out of your deck. And you'll notice, instead of having the normal 3 of each card, we have 2. And that is because of the new Siri card. So, I played around with it a little bit. I've done the 2 cards, I've done the 3 cards, and the 2 cards with the Siri, I think, is just so much more of an advantage. So, it limits the number of cards in your deck, so it's going to be easier to draw the cards you want. And on top of that, with the Siri card all the way up here, if you only have 2 of all your bronze copies, then you're going to get a 25 card right here. Like I said, that 25 is super powerful. It's a great card. If you don't have this card yet, if you haven't gotten in a keg, or you don't have enough scraps to craft it, I would recommend using Geralt in this deck, just because it's another strong, powerful card out there. I will still keep it down to 2, just in anticipation of getting the Siri Nova, and or the fact that I found that playing with the 2 cards, the 2 bronze cards in each category, has really helped me get it out there and do some powerful plays.